And a pleasant Saturday morning to you, and welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We are so glad to have you with us, and welcome. Just ahead, author Rick Saffer and his book, An Incredible Decade of Speed at Indy. It's a new track record. It's a great book. We just had a little conversation with him before we went on the air, and great guy. You're going to really enjoy this interview. Jeff has car culture. His feature this week is going to be on four-wheel steering.
Yep.
Do they even make it anymore?
Yeah.
Mars has Off the Beaten Path, karting around the Houston area. That's Karting, not carding. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us for our live version of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. All right. Jeffrey, how have you been?
Good. We're like the black shirt gang this week. I had a wardrobe malfunction. My blue shirt was interfering with the internet, so we all went black. So there you go. But good. It's been a good week.
Once you go back, you never go back. That's what I heard.
Yep. Hey, went to Space Center Houston this past week, and it was awesome. If you're in Houston or if you're coming to Houston, you need to go see it. It is incredible.
Yeah,
it really is.
Mr. Mars, you survived the rains over there?
Yes, we did. We're starting to dry out a little bit.
Well, that's going to change again here.
So is it the whole county's going dry or just your city?
No, just this kind of two-block area.
Household. That's what it is.
We're all going dry over here.
Well, let's get to our guest, shall we? He's been sitting around doing nothing, waiting for us to start the show, and let's just get right to it. His name is Rick Saffer, and the book is It's a New Track Record, Decade of Speed, Indy 62 to 72. What a great decade. I don't know how you came up with that, but talk about a decade of speed. Let's talk about a decade of change. You go from front engine to rear engine, and my God, everything really changed in that decade, Rick.
Well, actually, there's a story behind how I came up with this idea. It isn't my idea. When my first book came out in 1999 on the first 20 years of the IndyCar series, and after I came out, a photographer friend of mine named Steve Stott, he said, "Hey, if you think you want to do another book, I got a great idea for you." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "Well, think of the years 62 to 72 and all the interesting cars, drivers, and teams that came through during that era." And I thought, that's a great idea. Well, unfortunately, Steve passed away in 2009, but I thought if I get this book written and get it published, I'm going to dedicate it to Steve. That's exactly what I've done.
Well, you know what? The first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to that decade, Andy Granatelli, the STP team. Remember that?
Yeah. He was actually in 62, he brought the Novi back for the first time since the 50s. And they didn't make the race that year, but that's what he started out with Novis. And then he brings, he had the first successful Turbine cars. And of course, that Dayglow orange color they painted their cars, that was, they stood out. It was he was an incredible showman, and it was neat that, he was a major part of this era. So,
well, I'll never forget the team colors. Those white kind of jumpsuit things with STP stickers all over them.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody had the STP stickers on your toolbox and on your notebooks and binders everywhere.
Yeah, but this was a wearable.
They look like gas station attendants.
No, they based them on, actually, that was the kind of short sleeve coverall that the European teams were wearing, but they just put their logo all over it. Andy himself, he had a regular suit made with entirely covered.
Yeah, sure did.
So, So we understand how you got to write the book, but this isn't your first book, from what I understand.
Right, this is my fourth book on racing. So I after the kart book, I got to co-author the autocourse history of the 500 with Donald Davidson, and then my most recent book was. I always thought it'd be neat to do a book just with nothing but nondescript stories that weren't widely known, because so many of the 500 books have the same stories over and over again, same photos. So then I had an outfit called Coastal 181 published 500 on the Indy 500, and then of course this new book is from these people from England, wonderful people named Evro Publishing Limited, and it was my first effort with them, so I've been very happy. They put out a beautiful product. I'd had some of their books before. I have a racing book collection of about 500 copies. So.
Wow.
500 copies. So in other words, we'll all get one. And
well, there's been 500 different titles actually. So.
Oh, I see.
500 different books. Yeah,
I got
that's
you.
My library. That's my research center. So.
Well, hey, we're always looking for a freebie. Hey, you're a media guy. You know about that.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, a little bit of background on Rick. He used to work for a very well-known newspaper there in Indianapolis, and he was also part of an Indy team. Tell us about that, Rick.
Well, when I decided it was time to leave my newspaper career, I had a chance to be the public relations director for a team called Bettenhausen Motorsports, and this was run by Tony Bettenhausen. He was the youngest son of the same name driver who was, such a standout in the late 40s and 50s. And I worked 6 years with him, and 4 of the years my driver was a next Formula One driver named Stefan Johansson, who's now gone to be the manager of people like Scott Dixon and Felix Rosenquist. And we had a year with a French-Canadian driver named Patrick Carpentier. And then my last year with the team, we had this wonderful Brazilian rookie named Castro Neves. And I always ask people, have you heard of this guy?
Yep.
But we formed a nice friendship from that. And when my previous book, he actually did the foreword. So naturally, when I did this next book, I had to get another full-time lawyer. So I was very blessed to have A J Foyt do that. And I told his publicist, I said, he's the only driver still living that was in all those races that I cover in that book. So that kind of put the deal over the top, I think.
Well, I'll tell you, I had the opportunity to actually have lunch with him one time several years ago. And, once you take off the anger and the competitive thing that he's got going on, the aura around him,
that's his
he's
business.
really a nice guy.
Yeah, the thing about Mr. Foyt is how you approach him. And I, being a rather shy person, I decided the best way was to go through the publicist, and that seems to always work. Anytime I've dealt with him, he's just been, extremely, cordial and accommodating. And actually, I'll tell you a little story. I used to write for a now defunct magazine called Vintage Motorsport, and I was doing a story on the 64 500. And so naturally I had to talk to him because he won the race. And we were at the Houston IndyCar race. And so he was finishing up breakfast. So I go on to his coach and I said, sure, you're finished? Yeah, come on back. And he said, do I know you? And I said, well, yeah, AJ, I used to work for the Star with Robin Miller. And he goes, well, hell, we've been friends for 30 years in Hamlin. That just broke the ice. Had a wonderful interview with him. So.
Well, I was quite surprised, pleasantly surprised. Really a nice guy, and I thoroughly enjoyed the interview. So let's talk to you about your book. So 62 to 72, 10 years at the Indy 500, and what really surprised you that you would point out to anybody that reads your book? Hey, be sure and check this section out.
Well, actually, overall, is if you look at 1962. There were still skeptics that thought it was impossible to go to 150 mile an hour until Parnelli Jones goes out and breaks the track record. And 2 years later, Bobby Marshman had a practice lap at 160, so they jumped 10 miles over what was supposedly impossible. By the end of my era, 72, they're nudging the 200 mile an hour mark. And I mean, it's just the thing was, it was just in those 11 races, you had the track record broken 9 times. So Tom Carnegie, of course, the track announcer, got to utter that famous, it's a new track record. And, it was just really quite an era for technology. You went from all front engine to rear engine cars by 1969. By 1970, every engine was turbocharged, and there were no limits. They were getting more than 1,000 horsepower, by the early 70s. And then the aerodynamics came into play. And, of course, with that, we also had slick tires for the first time. So, things like that. Just that's what really made this so special. It was just the different things that happened and the people who, came and went.
So it makes me think of the question, what do you think of today's cars and today's technology? I mean, 240 miles an hour? Seriously? Somebody's going to get killed.
Well, interestingly, they've gotten safer as they've gotten faster. I know it doesn't sound like that'd be right, but, they've come up with a lot of ways. Probably the main thing that helped them safety-wise was when they went to the ground effects, they put the fuel tank behind the driver. So suddenly fire is no longer an issue that had once been. You see a fire in a car, it's usually the oil reserve tanks ignited. And, the materials, the carbon fiber is much better than the aluminum or than the honeycomb aluminum they use for the tubs. The helmets are better, the fire suits are better. And of course, the Speedway was the first to use this, what they call the safer barrier, which is a really, you wouldn't think that it's cushioning the effect. So when they're hitting the wall, it's not like they're hitting solid concrete, not no give anyway. So, um, but they've had, knock on wood, since 1982, they've had 3 fatalities of IndyCar drivers at the Speedway. So we're going on like a 23-year. The last guy that was killed was in a test. A promising rookie named Tony Renna had finished 7th the previous May. This was the fall of 2003, and they haven't had a fatality for an IndyCar driver since at Indianapolis anyway. And this track, there total like 43 drivers lost their lives there over the years. So,
who was the grumpiest driver that you ever interviewed?
oh boy, that's a good question. I think I was pretty lucky. I didn't really run into a lot of the question is when you talk to this person. I mean, my first autograph was Al Unser when he was a rookie, and I was a little 12-year-old kid, and he talked to my brother and I like we were important. And when I went to the Star and ready to do my first Al Unser feature, I was warned, and now listen, he doesn't see you as a fan like he did when you were a kid. So he didn't like reporters. I think he got burned by a couple of people. So it was not the fun interview I thought it was going to be. But really, I've been really lucky that I haven't had any set twos with drivers. I think I've tried to be careful about when to approach them, and in the case of A J Foyt, you're best served going some of them are better when you go through the publicist and said,
Yes.
shoving a microphone in their face and a notebook bothering. So
Right. Well, I find it fascinating. Tell me about the changes at the Speedway now that the boss has taken over that Speedway, and there have been quite a few changes.
Yeah, we're still in the early part of this. He was really kind of hampered because when he bought the track, then COVID came along. So I'm not really sure all the things he's going to do. Now, I'm 73 years old, and I last 5 years I've gone to the race not as a journalist but as a fan again. And my brother and I, we sit on the top row, what they call the Vista stands in turn 4. So that's 44 rows up. And this year they put handrails on in the aisles, and boy, for us that was a wonderful little thing. You would think would be a big deal. It's a big deal to your average fan, but Roger Penske, of course, he's noted for his immaculate-looking cars and crew guides and transporters. So, the Speedway wasn't really decrepit when he bought it, but, you can just see he's really making extra strides to make it even more professional-looking facility. And I'm biased. I think it's the greatest racing track in the world. So,
I've been there a couple of times, and I have to tell you that thoroughly impressed. And I've been to a lot of racetracks around, but there's something extra special about Indy. And, it's a great, big, huge, long track. And if you're going to go pick a seat, well, good luck, because you're not going to see the entire track like so many are today, and that's the way that they're built. But when this thing was built, they didn't have all of the infield stuff going on like they do today to block the view.
Well, actually, they had a lot more trees in the building, you'd think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the other thing was the grandstands were just single level, so it wasn't until after the war they put the double level grandstands on the front straightaway, and then of course the Vista stand I referred to, they're in all the turns now. They're a lot higher than the other ones ever had been. So, my top row is 44, and then some of them have an overhang with 2 more rows of seats.
Yeah, and they got a golf course.
So the track had to grow around the track, if you will, because the track, the race surface, is pretty much like it was, other than being fixed up and maintained. But it sounds like the track itself grew around that.
What happened actually was when they were planning the track, they wanted to build a 5-mile-long circle, and so the property they bought after they hired the engineer after they bought the property, and they get him together and they show him a map that's got the property, and it was 328 acres of farmland, so it was flat, and they told him this is what they want. Well, the problem was the configuration of the property was a mile long going north to south, half-mile wide east to west. So it's like, do the math. Can you put a 5-mile circle inside a half-mile rectangle? Of course you can. So this engineer seized the moment because he could see these guys are ready to sell this property and start looking elsewhere. And he laid out a 3-mile rectangle. That's the thing. It's not an oval. It's a rectangle with 9-degree rounded corners. And it was a 3-mile track that took up all the room. But then he realized he had not left any room for grandstands. And he said, "You did say you're going to have races, right?" And they said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, I need to shorten the track by half a mile because we need to put the grandstands on the outside of what would be the front straightaway. And that half mile will give me enough room to do that." And so that's why the track is shaped like it is. And of course, you know, the grandstands, I don't think they envisioned having them almost all the way around the entire track now. Now, the golf course came around in the late 20s. And what was funny was they originally were going to build an infield road course, but Carl Fisher, the main driving force among the founders, decided, let's make this an aviation automotive facility. So for a while, you actually had a runway that went diagonal between turns 1 and 3, and a large building inside of turn 2, which we call a hangar today. They call it an aerodrome. It was the biggest in the world at the time. So, and all that got demolished when the great aviator Eddie Rickenbacker bought the track and puts in a golf course. So.
Well, a fascinating story. And listen, we could sit and talk to you for at least a day and picking your brain about Indy and the Indy 500 and the cars, the drivers, all of that. But the new book, it's a new track record, 1962 to 72, an incredible decade of speed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The author, Rick Saffer. And we certainly appreciate the time that you've spent with us today, Rick, and we wish you the best of luck. And hey, call us anytime, because we can talk to you about the book all we want, but you know, we also like a fellow journalist, and I know that you've got tons of stories to tell.
We could meet him at Indy next year.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll meet you there. You can buy us a hot dog.
Give you a tour. So.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. Rick, thanks so much again. Before you leave, I did want to mention to you, this is a tabletop book. Father's Day is coming up. And as you mentioned off the air, Rick, that go to just Google the book or Rick's name, and I'm sure that there are probably a dozen different places that you can get the book, and it would be a great one to have to give away to Dad.
Well, thank you for the kind words. And can I say one quick thing before we leave?
Please do, yes.
Okay, you were mentioning a four-wheel steering car.
Yes.
Well, Mickey Thompson brought one to the Speedway in 1967, and there's a picture of it on page 153 of the book. So.
Well, there's my segment. Thanks. Just ruined that for me. No, I'm kidding.
All right, Rick. Well, thanks again. We really appreciate you, and best of luck to you in the future, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Hey, just ahead, Jeff's car culture, four-wheel steering, as we just mentioned. Mars has go-kart tracks around Houston, and his driving destinations feature all that and more coming up right after this break on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show.
The Tex-Mex dining experience is defined by Lupi Tortilla, your destination for Texas's best beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. Since 1983, Lupi Tortilla has served authentic and time-tested recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Atmosphere is part of the award-winning experience at Lupi Tortilla, all developed in a little house near Highway 6 and I-10 in Houston. Visit any of the Lupi Tortillas and you'll see the same attention to detail in each and every location. Start your Lupi experience with queso flamiado and guacamole, along with a classic frozen margarita. Dine on famous Lupi beef and chicken fajitas or pepper shrimp brochette, or a fish or vegetarian entree, and finish with a scrumptious flan for dessert. Find Lupi Tortilla in Houston, College Station, Beaumont, Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas-Fort Worth. There's a Texas location near you. The recipes are authentic and time-tested. The ingredients always fresh. Lupi Tortilla. Eats pretty good. Apple or Android, In Wheel Time podcast can be found everywhere, on the stream and through downloads. Whether you're on the road or at home and searching for a fun car talk show, give In Wheel Time a try. Honest new car reviews, fun, informative interviews with real car people, weekly automotive news, features like Jeff's Car Culture, Mike's Driving Destinations, all on In Wheel Time. Check us out on SiriusXM Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or while you're shopping on Amazon through Amazon Music. InWheelTime.com has a list, so check us out.
Join us 10 to noon Central Time every Saturday for our live show about all things automotive. We hope that you'll get a whiff of it and to tell everybody. And then we thank you for being with us today. And with that in mind, I want to say that in 2 weeks, we're going to be in Granbury for the Lone Star Street Rod Association. Actually, it is called the State Run. and there's a history behind that, and we'll talk to somebody about that in a little bit. But it's a great show, so it's actually worth a day trip up there.
I'm getting a new
Really is.
suitcase for all of my hair care products, just specifically for that.
All right, time now for Jeff's car culture: four-wheel steering.
Yeah, we've heard of it. We've seen it somewhere demonstrated, but it was first popularized in the 80s. Four-wheel steering, or 4WS, is all-wheel steering. AWS is all-wheel steering. Relatively common, but all-wheel steering does have certain benefits and also has certain things that you really don't want to get involved in. So rear-wheel steering vehicles utilize a system where rear wheels can turn in conjunction or with opposite into the front wheels, enhancing maneuverability and stability. The system allows the rear wheels to turn in either direction or in the same direction as the wheels called parallel for stability at high speeds. Why four-wheel steering, you might ask? Mike was asking this. Car manufacturers fit four-wheel steering in various reasons. High speeds, rear steering, rear wheels normal to turn in the same direction as the front wheels, whereas at low speeds they would turn in an opposite direction. These drive-by-wire systems usually have no physical linkage between the steering wheel and the rear wheels, unlike earlier mechanical systems.
That's comforting to know.
Yeah. Is it the same? Well, since all cars' front wheels are steered in the front wheel, and some are referred to as rear steering vehicles, that would be like a forklift or a rear skid turning device, but not strictly correct. It refers to a vehicle that has fixed front wheels and steered by the rear wheels only, such as a forklift truck, as just stated. Now, four-wheel steering is used most popular to handle on the best sports cars and maneuverability of some of the biggest SUVs and truck models. It's a great way to aid the handling of a large heavy-duty truck or a large heavy-duty SUV, and appears to be more nimble and agile as they would otherwise be. It's usually found in more expensive vehicles and not regarded to be worth the complexity, weight, and extra cost on your everyday small vehicles like your Hondas, your Toyotas, and things. Well, how does it work? Well, we just talked a little bit about that, but mainly the front wheel steering steers it, while the rear wheels provide the motivative force in that direction. So you're saying, well, what kind of cars do we usually get them on? Well, the engine and the drivetrain do matter on this. It's reported that the different speeds and different turning radiuses, which are very limited on some of these as well. Some of the disadvantages, you're looking at the cost. Now, if you have the system, if you were to buy it on a car nowadays, you're looking at about a $5,000 option for this. If it was to go out of warranty and it breaks, you're looking anywhere between an $1,800 minimum repair per corner, or just a replacement of $3,500 per.
When the mechanic sees one coming in the door, this is what he does. He goes, how does that work?
Yeah. And of course, one of the other parts is the malfunction. If one part of it goes down, then they all go down. So it's pretty much it's a risky thing to do. Various Audis, various BMWs, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsche models. You can still get it to today. You can get a lot of them through Mercedes. Mercedes do offer it as an option when you go in there and look at those cars. And Mike just clicked on it. My favorite, which is the bonus pick. There's a rear-wheel drive vehicle right there. That was actually
a four-wheel drive vehicle.
It's rear-wheel.
Four-wheel steering.
Four-steer, correct. So the tires on this Lunar Rover were a wire mesh composite for durability, to add to the temperatures so that they didn't sink in the sand and the moon dust and all that good stuff. But that vehicle was on Apollo 15, 16, and 17, and they're still up there. So I think, Mike, what we need to do is send you up there to bring them back on a flatbed, and we'll check them out.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Okay, good. Well, that's a great feature.
I took that at Johnson Space Center. That was a display.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Last pictures. That's why I sent it to Mike late.
Let's get over to driving destinations.
Yeah, let's
Mr.
do
Mars has that. We're talking about go-karting.
Yeah, so we're going to stay along the same lines of something that's fun to drive. So if you're looking for something that goes beyond the big indoor chains, like around Houston, there's a couple of places, big multi-story buildings that take up several blocks. And so if you're looking for something that gets a little more personality, a little bit more history, or some old school Texas vibes, then we've got a few of those that we can look at. So we're going to start with the Go-Kart Raceway. Great name off of West Mount Houston Road in Houston. But for decades, it's been kind of a quiet, but it's been one of Houston's best old school outdoor kart tracks. Survived after all the similar family entertainment centers have all disappeared. Now they've all got some sort of arcade system and everything built in with it, but it's all part of trying to make that family experience to go along with it. But now this facility includes the arcade games, laser tag, and the 1960s vibe, just an old school vibe that families can go to, particularly the younger riders, because they've got 4 different levels of carts. You got regular carts, you got 2-seaters so that you can take and ride with the kids. They've also got what they call the super carts, which you got to be 15, at least 15 years old to drive, or they've got an F1 cart that you got to be 16 with a driver's license to be able to drive. So they got a lot of variety there out there on their tracks. Then the second one would be Speedy's Fast Track up off Hempstead Road. Now, it's really been a neighborhood type entertainment center because that's what they've built and that's what they've kept. Now, it's alongside Hempstead Road, so there's a lot of attractions there with go-karts, mini golf, laser tag, and some arcade games. It's kind of a compact place, but it all something you could get to, and it's a little more personal than you find with a National Polish Change with a lot of the neon lights and flashing indoor racing type things. It's not a big track, but it's got a lot of tight turns that might think you about the old school when you were a kid and used to go and drive on them. And because it all keeps all the racing close, it's lively and it's very competitive because it's all such like a short track. Now, it can make it for a great casual date night destination because it balances fun. You got a little bit of atmosphere. You got lots of different things you can do at Speedy's because of the quirky personality that keeps people coming back year after year. That's made this a really great place to go do. Now, the other one's a little more upscale is Speed Sports Racing Park. And we've talked to these guys before, and I brought them in because they are out of the way. They're up in New Caney. So they're up in southeast Texas, if you will, and they've got a lot of arcades, of course, and, they do a lot of birthday parties, and they got a big venue there, but it's all into motorsports culture. The outdoor track is fast. It's very technical, and it's designed for drivers who want to improve lap times because they do have league racing here that you can get involved with. They also have driver coaching that you can get involved with. So whether you're a beginner or you get into the competitive kart racing, you can see different levels of driving on this track that everybody can participate on. And they also actually do have a racing academy that you can sign up for if you really want to get into it and get serious. Then the next one, I was surprised to find this one, MSR in Houston. We talk about MSR in Houston a lot because of the road course on it, but did not know about the karting.
Wow.
They actually have karting. Now, this is down in Angleton. They've got where they, along with all their track for their road track for their cars and stuff, it is a track that's set up for golf carts. Now, it's part of that larger complex. It's a shorter track. It's a 3/4 mile part of the track, and you got to be at least 13 years old to get on this course and get on this track because it is a little skillful. I mean, it takes some skill, and you got to be able to drive it. And because the track itself is long, it's smooth, and it's quick enough that you're going to get some speed up, and I think they can get up to like 45 miles an hour in this course. And so you've got, with the turns and stuff, you got concrete walls. It's a racetrack for cars that you're going to get into in a go-kart. So you got to be I got to have some skills. You got to pay a little bit of attention. The last one I found that I thought was really interesting. Now, this is down in Galveston. So it's still, I consider that still part of the Houston area, but it's down on Seawall Boulevard in Galveston. It's the Galveston Go-Kart and Fun Center. Now, this is beach town. We're talking resort, beach town energy. It's got a lot of charm to it because of the retro family amusement park setting it's in. Along the seawall, it's very easy to be part of that beach atmosphere. A lot of people on vacations going down here. But they've also got the outdoor kart track. And it's not really ultra competitive, but it's great for going out just to go for a ride that you want to get quick on and maybe have a little family racing set up or just something to do on vacation like a lot of towns across the country. They do have arcade games, and they've got a lot of other things like pool tables. They do have some axe throwing that Don found real popular one time. We were talking about that. Then we also have a virtual reality roller coaster that I thought was rather, I was trying to understand
Don't
the
even
concept.
talk to me about roller coasters, okay?
No.
But
We're
it's a
not gonna talk
virtual
about
one.
that.
You just
Yeah.
put on the headset and go, man.
Okay. Well, thank
But
you
anyway.
very much. Yeah, we appreciate that. Driving
stuff.
destinations, go-karting around the Houston area. Thank you, Mr. Mars. In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Stay with us.
Your car is a direct reflection of you. So don't be satisfied with color fade or a dingy, dull appearance. Get rid of those terrible automated car wash scratches. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your save the paint company. John Gray and his team of detailing experts can help your car's finish without a full repaint. Searching for real experts in window tint or windshield protection? Gulf Coast Auto Shield. Dash cams, radar detectors, Gulf Coast Auto Shield. Got a new car? Get it protected as soon as you take delivery. If you don't know which of the multitude of protection products to go with, John Gray will give you an honest opinion and won't sell you something you don't need. John will help you understand the many options and pricing right on the spot. He's your guy to have your ride looking its best and protected too. See the state-of-the-art shop yourself. Free tours anytime. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is easy to get to, located just south of the Southwest Freeway on the Sam Houston Parkway. Gulf Coast Auto Shield, full-service luxury car care today and online at gcautoshield.com. Gift giving should be meaningful, and we have an idea. A hand-painted custom illustration of your car from one of the nation's leading artists. Now you can get one or a car show poster customized for you, a friend, or a loved one. Bill Seitz will be happy to guide you through the process. No matter what the day, birthday, anniversary, or any day, an Autographics custom illustration adds an extra touch of class to any home. Call Bill today, 832-922-0963. That's 832-922-0963. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.